one that started with a love for academics, veered into some unforeseen directions, but eventually led me to a path that truly feels like comfort. It was 2 weeks after my final exams, back in 8th grade. I checked my marks and I was silent. Not because they're terrible, but because they aren't me. I was once the student with straight A's and perfect attendance. The one always raising her hand in class, always going up to the stage to collect medals, making her teacher and parents proud. Academic excellence was my norm. And for a long time, I believed that this was who I truly was. Until that version of my world changed drastically. When the pandemic hit, everything shifted. Schools closed, classrooms disappeared, and the environment I once used to thrive in changed into virtual silence and just a screen. Education became digital, and suddenly so did I. The engagement, the connectivity, the energy, it all began to fade. I went from being a girl who genuinely loved learning to someone who barely even recognized herself. Then came 9th and 10th grade, two of the most academically defining years, centered majorly around math and science. But no matter how hard I tried or how many hours I studied, I simply could not connect. These subjects, which are considered as the pillars of academic success, they didn't resonate with me. And for the first time in years, my performance began to drop. It wasn't that I wasn't trying hard, it was just that I wasn't made for this particular mold. But that was a hard thing to admit, especially when you're not expected to be a student like that. And so I had to keep it to myself, internally questioning. My self-worth, which for so long had been tied to good report cards, good grades and praise, it began to unravel. And I was left wondering, if I couldn't succeed in the so-called important subjects, was I still intelligent? This one bizarre thought hardly ever left my mind. And then came the moment that in many ways has reshaped my identity. The decision to take humanities in class 11. One thing that has been constant for me throughout all these years has been my love for dance and performing arts, which is why I thought that me choosing this stream wouldn't come as a shock to anyone. Little did I know, I was in for a surprise. I still remember all the reactions. Some were supportive, but others not so much. There were polite smiles followed by long pauses. Awkward silences that said more than words ever could. Humanities? Oh, but why not science? If only I had a nickel for every time someone asked me that, I'd probably be funding therapy sessions for everyone who thinks humanities is such a downgrade. And yes, people did assume that I chose this stream because I had fewer marks or had somehow given up. I could feel it. It was everywhere. Because in the society I grew up in, this stream still carries a certain label. A label that's heavy and unfair. It's often seen as the easy stream, the last resort, or the path you take when nothing else ever works out. And in Gujarat, a place which proudly pumps out entrepreneurs like it's a factory setting, saying that I'd taken humanities was like a big plot twist no one ever expected and everyone still refuses to believe. But here's what people couldn't see. I didn't choose this stream because I had fewer marks. I chose it because I had finally stopped choosing things that weren't meant for me. This decision wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough. And when I entered the class, it didn't feel like I had taken a step down. In fact, it didn't feel like I had taken a step at all. It felt like I had finally been able to stand still, to breathe, and to just be. Subjects like psychology, mass media, political science, literature, they didn't just fill up my timetable, they filled up my mind, my heart. Learning no longer felt like pressure, and the spark that I thought I had lost, it returned, but not as it once was. This time, it wasn't just about grades, applause, or comparison. It actually wasn't a race anymore. It was a sense of alignment and a passion. I used to think that being intelligent means being good at everything, even the subjects you disliked. I believed that to be worthy, I had to constantly push myself through things that drained me. But now, I understand something much, much deeper. True intelligence is not about how many subjects you can conquer. It's about knowing who you are and having the courage to choose a path that speaks to your soul. Humanities taught me that. It gave me the space to ask why instead of just memorizing the what. And most importantly, it taught me that my worth was never defined by just one exam, one subject, or one label. It was defined by the strength it took to choose differently, to listen to my inner voices when the world was constantly shouting over it, and to rebuild myself from the inside out. To anyone who has ever been judged for choosing a different academic path, or to anyone who has ever been told that their stream is less valuable, less respected, or even less challenging, I would like to say this clearly. Your path is valid, your choices are valid, and you do not owe anyone an explanation. If the weight of failure returns, carry it not as a burden, but rather as a reminder that you had the courage to try when it mattered the most. Choosing humanities was never a backup for me. It was a conscious, thoughtful decision. And yes, of course, that decision came with raised eyebrows, assumptions, and with a lot of questions. But it also came with clarity, confidence, and a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. It takes resilience to redefine success for yourself when the world defines it only in one way. Today, I believe that intelligence is also reflected in critical thinking, awareness, empathy, and the courage to make authentic choices. I now know what fuels my interest, what direction I want to grow in, and what makes me feel fulfilled. And that shift from performing for others to finally choosing for myself has made all the difference. Thank you.